Hmm. When you think of stories and you use stories and you tell stories very effectively, I mean, you talk about, say, Pinocchio, you use biblical stories, you're very engaging sort of interpreter and transmitter of stories. When you're working on, say, Beyond Order, this new book, how do you think of composing your stories or your messages so that they are not lost, so that they have some durability or transmissibility?
Well, I'm always, mostly when I'm writing, I'm trying to figure something out. Although, as I've written for, as the period of time over which I've been writing has lengthened, I'm spending more time communicating the ideas and less time figuring them out. When I wrote my first book, which was Maps of Meaning, pretty much all I was doing was trying to figure something out. It was just an exercise in sustained thought. And I worked on it for from 1985 to 1999, about 3 hours a day. And I thought about it, especially when I was in my 20s, all the time. I was thinking about it like 13 hours a day. And the ideas were just running through my mind at a rate far higher than I'm capable of now. I was trying to figure something out. I was trying to understand malevolence, I suppose, among other things. But when I wrote the last two books, I was trying to communicate some of what I thought I had learned. And so, but it's still, a lot of it's still trying to solve to answer a question. When I lecture, for example, and I usually do that without notes, I have a question in mind. It's like, okay, well, in the biblical lectures, for example, the first one is, I think it's about 2 hours long, on the first sentence of Genesis. The question is, well, what does this sentence mean? And so the lecture is an exploration of what it means. And I'm trying to think it through. And at the same time, I'm communicating that process of thinking it through. And that's what I'm doing with my books. And the books are written to me, which is why I think I've gotten away with giving advice. The books aren't really advice, or if they are, I'm included in the population of idiots who needs the advice. So, these are things I haven't. The last chapter is be grateful in spite of your suffering. I've had real struggle with that. So, although I know perfectly well that resentment, regardless of the cause, is not productive, it's certainly understandable.
Grabbing what you just said and maybe going to a somewhat meta level, I am going to shoehorn in Viktor Frankl because I don't want to leave that loose end for listeners. I Frankl talks about the desire to finish his book as one of the sources of meaning that got him through the concentration camps. Uh, did you, did your book, and I don't know the timeline for having worked on it, serve a similar purpose over the last 18 to 24 months?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was life raft. I was devastated when I finished it, which is a common experience, people, and it speaks to the nature of human motivation. We often think, well, once I get to point B, that's where you're headed, everything will be okay. It's like, no, that's not the case at all. Is that now you need a new point B. So, and that was really, because I don't work at the university anymore, and I don't have my clinical practice anymore. And um, so that those are losses of structure for me. And I had the book to anchor myself while I was so ill, and it was invaluable,
Hmm.
and still is, for that matter.